is up, everybody? Welcome back again. This is Fat Guy Sports Talk. Thanks for joining us. As always, I am Aaron, joined by,
TJ.
I'm Tyler.
I'm Grant.
and we are here to discuss more fun playoff action and some other big football news, as well as some other sports today. Do we want to start off here with the divisional round games that are coming up?
Might as well. Let's do it.
Yeah, there's only 4 games. Just to recap last week's picks, Tyler and TJ picked 4 out of 6 right, and me and Grant had 3 out of 6. The only game that we picked different was Pittsburgh and Cleveland.
Yeah,
And
go Browns.
Like, I like that
Yeah.
Tyler and I are going to talk a ton of shit too. Except for the fact that that's still 66% and failing in any class ever. But you know what? We kicked the shit out of you two.
Hey, 66 is D, and what my
Oh.
college professor told me, D means diploma.
I must say,
Pass or fail, baby.
only because I let you guys switch your picks after Alex Smith was ruled out.
Yeah,
Which
that
we
was-
almost
true.
all got screwed on.
Yeah, that would have been so. I would have told you guys. I would have
He-
said, no,
Taylor Heineke played out of his
he
mind.
did. He played really, really well.
Pat McAfee said on Overreaction Monday on his show that Heineke probably got himself a starting job with that performance.
He might have legitimately.
Might have, yeah.
It depends if Alex Smith comes back. I don't think he will.
Watch the fucking Bears sign him. Just watch. We'll get into more of that when we get to.
Why wouldn't you like that? He's an upgrade over anything you've had.
It's one
Ever.
game. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying it's one game sample.
It's the Matt Flynn effect.
Yeah.
Oh no! I thought you meant
Yeah.
sign Alex Smith.
Oh no, I meant
I was
sign
like,
Taylor
yeah,
Heineke.
that would be awful. I would not want to be a team bringing him in. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, dude was backup on the St. Louis Battlehawks in the XFL. So if that goes, he couldn't become a starter in the XFL. But anyways, we are gonna cover the 4 divisional games this week. All teams are playing now, no more buys, so it's down to the nitty gritty here. Our first game on Saturday is going to be the Rams heading to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Rams upset Seattle last week. Grant made a solid Super Bowl pick there.
Yep.
Who
I've
did he
never
have
been
again?
so happy
I just want to
to be
hear him
wrong.
say it. Who was
I've
it?
never been so happy to be wrong.
Who was it?
What's that?
What?
Who was his pick?
Seattle.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to have him say it again.
I can't believe you
Because he's
picked
wrong.
Seattle
Two
over
ways,
Green
number
Bay.
one.
That was awesome. Thanks, DJ.
So Jared
Welcome.
Goff
and they
had the-
lost, so yay.
Jared Goff came on in relief after having surgery on his broken thumb last week, and
He looked terrible.
yeah, and they got help from the defense. There was a defensive
But remember,
touchdown.
I said if Jared Cook plays, the Rams are going to win. And I mean, he does.
Why was Jared Cook playing?
Good.
Jared Goff.
What was Jared Cook doing out there?
Oh, yeah, not Jared Cook. Jared Goff.
Dummy.
Jared Goff.
We were just talking about Jared Cook before the show.
And you couldn't remember his name then, but you remember it now.
Hey, it's what I do, baby.
That
Hey, I
guy
couldn't
from the
remember his
States
name.
thought
I brought
that-
up Jared Cook.
What's that?
So
I just didn't know what team he was on at the time, 100%, and I was right.
So the Rams defense kind of stepped up and shut down the Seattle's high-powered offense. Do they do the same against Green
No.
Bay? Keep in mind, Aaron Donald is
Keep in mind,
struggling with some
doesn't matter.
torn cartilage in his ribs. He might have to get the Tyrod Taylor treatment. Let's hope he has a competent doctor that doesn't puncture his lung. But do we see the Rams in any
It
universe
doesn't
beating
matter
Green
if
Bay?
Aaron Donald is 100% healthy in this game.
In
Like, it's
some,
closer, but
if
no.
you say in any universe, yeah, there's chance. There's always a chance.
It does not matter if Aaron Donald is healthy or not. They're not going to beat Green Bay. I'm not saying that Green Bay is going to come out and drop bombs on them all game with a healthy Aaron Donald out there, but they're not going to win. Green Bay's defense is better against the Rams offense than the Rams defense is against Green Bay's offense.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the thing because Green Bay's offense is really good. And I don't know if they have enough weapons to cover what Rodgers can do. I mean, he can throw to Tanyan. He can throw to Devontae Adams. He can throw to any of the other guys that drop a ton of footballs. But outside of like that, I don't think that they're going to be able to lock down Devontae Adams, even with dude on that team. And I
Jalen
know,
Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey.
yeah, Jalen Ramsey. Sorry, thank you. Forgot his name. But I mean, he's one of the best corners in the NFL. I don't think he can shut Devontae down. I think the thing about Rodgers that makes him so dangerous and why he doesn't need all these weapons. And you saw it with Jordy Nelson and you saw it with Greg Jennings. He throws you open. If you can get good body control and you can just catch a ball, you're going to catch passes on that team. So it doesn't matter, if he is blanketed. Rodgers will put the ball, and Devontae is great enough to be able to make sure he's in bounds with the ball. On the other side, I don't think they're going to be able to stop Aaron Jones if Aaron Donald is not in this game. And if they bring in Dillon again, that's a banger that can wear them down. And then you have to worry about Jones in the scat role. And Jones in general in the passing game has been lethal. So the Packers, they're not going to win like 35-10. It's going to be like 24-17 Packers.
I think it won't even be that high scoring. I agree that I don't think the Rams offense can keep up with the Packers offense, but I do think the Rams defense will slow down the Packers offense considerably, but not enough to beat them. I'm thinking maybe like 20-14 or, maybe even 17-14. It's going to be a low scoring lot, maybe a lot of punts this game.
If Aaron Donald isn't in, no, it's going to be the Packers destroying them.
I don't think it's a question of if Donald's going to be in. It's just how much or like what percentage is he?
Yeah.
We're all also forgetting the one big factor. It's going to be below zero. With the injuries to Aaron Donald, with this recent injury to Jared Goff, if any of us have been hurt, if we've gone outside and tried to have done something in the winter up here in Wisconsin, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's going to stiffen up. They're going to try. It's going to be hard on them. I think it's going to be 24-17.
Oh, are we going to have to go through parts of this game where they pan over to the sidelines to look at people in parkas?
Oh, yeah.
And comment about how rough Wisconsin is? Like, shut up, dude.
It's the frozen tundra, of course.
Yeah.
It'll either be that or them showing like the 1,000 fans that are bundled up there, however many they're allowing at Lambeau. So looks like Packers across the board here from everybody. All right.
One thing I'm really excited to watch in this game too is because Donald's not 100%. Is we saw what AJ Dillon did against the Titans. And I was saying too, like that 3-headed attack up there, like we're going to be able to rotate in running backs and be able to pound that line. I think we're going to see something different. Like the Packers usually throw the ball to then set up the run later on. I think they're going to run to then set up the pass. Like I'm excited for this. Like
I 100% agree.
McVay too. That's another thing.
The only thing I also just want to point out is that I'm not saying this is going to decide the game, but just another thing to keep an eye on while watching the game is the Rams have Leonard Floyd now. Now, while he was terrible with the Bears, he did have some of his best games against the Packers. Maybe it's just a Bears versus Packers things, or maybe it's just the fact that Leonard Floyd plays better when he's playing against Aaron Rodgers. But just keep an eye on that. If Donald is hampered, look for Leonard Floyd to maybe have somewhat of an impact on the game. All righty, let's jump in here to our next game on Saturday. It is the Baltimore Ravens upset the Tennessee Titans last week, and they're going to take on the Buffalo Bills. Thoughts on this one, guys?
Go Bills.
I mean, I'm obviously choosing the Bills. They were my Super Bowl pick. I think that I don't know what to think about this one because Baltimore and Tennessee had strong rushing attacks that I really thought that Buffalo's best shot was getting Pittsburgh, but we'll get to that in a minute. This is going to be tough for them. Lamar and that running game are still going strong. I do think Buffalo's pass defense will shut them down considerably. It's just a matter of can they stop Lamar Jackson the running, and on the other side of the ball, how good will Baltimore's pass defense step up to the Bills' passing game too?
Honestly,
point out. Oh, go ahead, Tyler.
Honestly, they're not going to be able to stop Lamar Jackson in the rushing game. But the fact that the Bills score so damn much It's going to be a high scoring game. It's going to be a lot like the Cardinals Packers game from a few years back, where it was like in the 40s. It's going to be a high scoring game, I think, just because the defenses, they match up to make the offenses look better.
I kind of
And I-
might have expected that last week too, but it was only 27-24. Playoff football can change things, so maybe
Sure.
I'm thinking in the 30s at least for score.
I think Baltimore is going to get lit up. I have not thought they were that good all year long. I don't think Lamar Jackson is that good. And I'm going to stick to it. Like, yeah, he can run the football and he is dangerous and one of the best runners with the football I've ever seen, but he cannot pass. And that is and in today's NFL, that is a 2-talent position. You need to be able to move and you need to be able to throw, and he can move, but he can't throw. Grant had a question before the cast wondering where the Ravens defense looked up, and Aaron and I were looking it up, and we were like, oh, number 1. No, that was just dead last in the passing attack. Only 2,900 yards all season long in the passing game. You need to be able to throw the football and run the football in the playoffs. And while the Bills aren't necessarily great at stopping teams, that's because they're not great in the pass necessarily. They are good enough to shut Baltimore down. But the thing about the Buffalo's defense is that they are fast, which means that they don't necessarily need to stop Lamar Jackson, but they're quick enough to be able to contain him. And that's the difference between Green Bay's defense against Kaepernick and you're looking at Buffalo's defense against Lamar. He brought it up. That's why
What the fuck? Well, no, and Tyler, I don't realize the Cardinals game. Fuck that Hail Mary, dude. Or no, it wasn't the Hail Mary.
It was an
fucking-
interception that was returned for like 90 yards. Yeah.
No, the Larry
This is
Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald in overtime. I know.
In overtime.
That
It
game
was the
wasn't high
Hail Mary
scoring,
that
though.
got us there, the Jeff
Yeah.
It was like 50-50, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That game-
the
no,
50
that
50
game-
was a fumble in overtime.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just don't see Baltimore getting past Buffalo. Now, Baltimore has a very solid defense. It's a good playoff defense. I don't think Baltimore is going to light them up, but they're going to score. They're going to win by at least 2 possessions. And I don't think you're going to see Lamar go over 100 yards rushing. If they're going to win, it's going to be because Lamar had to throw the football. And I don't think he can.
No. Grant, you got thoughts?
I'm going Buffalo, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than you guys are calling it, or at least TJ. That the Ravens are playing good, man. They just showed that they can stop Henry running it, but that's why I was asking where the Ravens secondary ranks in their top 10. You said, but high
Pretty much top 10 across every major category.
Yeah. So I really think it's going to be, if they are even going to make it close, they need to somehow contain Diggs. I don't think they're going to stop him, but if they can hold him from having just a monster game, they might have a chance. But I'm taking the Bills 100%.
And Diggs was kind of held in check
They were
last week
basically
too.
Sorry, I apologize. They were basically top 10 in every single category except for quarterback rating, which they were like not great in.
But to bounce off you, Grant, Diggs was kind of held in check last week. He had a couple big catches, but for the most part, Allen beat Tennessee with the other receivers. Gabriel Davis was making amazing sideline catches last week. So it's not whether either they control Diggs again or he has a breakout game. It's one or the other. But I don't see Baltimore winning this. So we're going Buffalo across the board on this one too.
Sorry, that was interceptions. They were like bottom of the league in interceptions.
Well, and I also think it's going to be a lower scoring game than you guys say too, just because Baltimore is just going to chew away the clock.
Yeah.
But that's why I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. Not that we're
I don't think you're going to see 300 yards out of Josh Allen.
Defense, just Baltimore's going to have the ball a lot.
Moving on here to our Sunday games. The Browns put a beating on Pittsburgh last week and it moved on for the first playoff win since 94, if I believe, 94, 95. But the reward for that is they get to take on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. The Browns keep their magic rolling.
Dare you win. Naughty.
That's like, waking up early when you're a kid, doing something around the house and trying to get something done to be nice for like your dad. And then he comes out and he's like, go mow the lawn. And you're
This
just
sounds like
"Oh,
this happened to you, TJ.
shut up. Like that was the last time I did something nice for anybody. Yeah, like I saw the game. I loved the game, man. Like that was insane to watch, and Cleveland needed that. I don't really typically buy into the city that needs that win because they don't.
You know what?
But the fan base needed something like that, and that was good. But and then for a minute there, I entertained that this could be the year, the miracle year for Cleveland. They're going out this week, and it's going to be bad.
I think it's going to be a close game, and I think Cleveland's going to keep the momentum running, and I do think Cleveland's going to take this game. They were hot as hell last week. 28 points in the first quarter. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think
that was also again like the worst playoff team probably in this thing, except for like the Bears. Sorry.
And Washington.
Not in Washington?
No. Washington beat them.
True.
You remember that?
Oh yeah.
But no, I think the Browns are going to win this game.
I'm actually going to agree with you, Tyler. I think the Browns showed last week. Yes, Pittsburgh probably was a little overrated, but you can't doubt the fact that still is a pretty good defense that the Browns went up against, and they hung 40-plus points on them. Now, the two ways you can beat the Chiefs is keeping pace with them and keeping them off the field. And the Browns showed they can put points on the board last week. And if they can also keep Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt going in the rushing attack, it'll keep Mahomes off the field. And as we've said before, and I've heard from numerous, media people, the Chiefs have been playing down to their opponents this year. And if they underestimate the Browns could come out and shock them. So I'm going to go Cleveland
the playoffs,
here.
Though. No,
Yeah,
that was the regular
plus-
season, and the Chiefs knew they were getting into the playoffs no matter what. When you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, it's a guarantee you're going to make the postseason pretty much, just like having Aaron Rodgers healthy is a guarantee to the postseason. No way, man. Like, absolutely no way. The Steelers were so bad. And when you're looking at the Chiefs, you're looking at a team that just decimates people. And even I can see what you're doing with your finger. But, like, even when Patrick Mahomes throws 3 interceptions, he's lethal. Like, you're down, 20? There was a game this year where he threw, like, 3 interceptions. They were down, and they still came back to win in the second half. Just you're never out of games with Patrick Mahomes.
No.
And honestly, like, I don't think the Browns can do it. And the one thing the Chiefs are not giving the Browns, the Steelers did, they're not giving them bulletin material. That's simple. You don't call out your playoff opponent team, and especially a divisional rival in the playoffs.
Don't worry, the Steelers are still calling them out.
Yeah.
For what? Kicking the shit out of them? If I was a Browns player, my first thing would be tweet and be like, same
Scoreboard.
old Browns, LOL, ... You fucking suck. That would be like,
I don't know if you guys have seen, but Pittsburgh's actually going to be relocating to Salt Lake City, Utah, because they're so salty.
I know, right? I mean, to be fair, any team that would have lost to the Browns there would be salty. It doesn't matter. It's just, it says
it's not the team.
About
it's
Mike Tomlin that he's letting his players do that.
It's Chase. It's Chase Claypool.
Chase Claypool, yeah. But it's not even just the team. It's everybody in Pittsburgh. I know I talk a lot about the Pat McAfee show because of what I listen to, but he had a Pittsburgh radio announcer on there the day after the game and was just ripping the team a new one, saying Tomlin needs to be fired, Big Ben needs to retire, Juju needs to be released. And I'm like, seriously? Your team went 13-3 this year? Like, you made the playoffs. Yeah.
No, 14-2, I thought.
I agree with 2 of those things. Juju Smith-Schuster does need to be released, and Ben Roethlisberger needs to retire.
But yeah, calling for Tomlin to get fired is just like,
Tomlin needs never had that locker room, though.
Yeah, he does. And I honestly, like, if the Steelers are not reactionary as a football team, Tomlin could go 1-15 next year, and I'm pretty sure he'd keep his job.
Yeah.
they don't fire head coaches willy-nilly. They just don't do it.
Right.
So I don't think you have to necessarily worry about Tomlin. My thing is, I never liked Tomlin as a head coach. He always seemed to with a great GM, put together a team that could play very, very well, but could never really get it done outside of 1 year. And honestly, I think that was more him playing with Bill Cowher's team than anything.
All right, Grant's got some distractions over there, but let's get
Was
your
that
take
Bill
on
Cowher?
this. Yeah, that was the previous coach. But Grant, let's
That
get
was
your
Bill
thoughts here
Cowher,
on
right?
Cleveland KC. Yeah, it was.
Meow. Meow.
Grant, who
Sorry.
you got winning this game?
Did it hear us?
What?
Meow.
No. He just really wants some attention. No, I'm going with the Chiefs. Like, I'm shocked. Kind of not really that shocked that Tyler would go with them, but Aaron, I'm pretty surprised you would. But it's just kind of going with what we were talking about. Like, divisional opponent, the Browns were super hungry, and that's fine. But this is a well-rested Chiefs team too, that have been knowing that they're in the playoffs. They had the 1 seed. They were getting the bye. They knew that. They benched everybody and just really slowed it down. And even then, if they do, there's no way that they can overlook the Browns. After what the Browns did to the Steelers there's no way.
They're not playing down to that team. No.
Yeah.
We'll see. That's why they play the game. I mean, we have difference of opinions. We'll see.
I don't remember
so
who said
stupid with that.
I'm not.
Well, that's why they play the games.
I'm not saying that I'm going to be surprised if the Chiefs win this
Denny
game, and
Green?
I don't think Tyler would be surprised if the Chiefs win either. We just got to go with what we think right now. So.
Well, was it Pat McAfee talking about how this really is going to be like a Texas Tech versus Oklahoma game?
I think so.
Defense.
It
It's just
could
going to
be
be super high scoring.
That's how I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be 30s, 40s.
It could be a shootout, yeah.
Why do you guys hate on the Browns?
I honestly think this weekend's going to be a high-scoring weekend with all 4 of the games.
It could be.
Especially going into our last game here. We got 2 of the best quarterbacks of all time. This game, I know you've probably seen the meme, but it'd be great if they put this on the History Channel because Tom Brady brings his old ass into New Orleans to take on.
You know what? Might as well put it on the History Channel. Nickelodeon is going to get a game, which was only seeing the game through your Snapchats and then later watching it. Please, NFL, never do that again.
I don't get why everybody is liking it.
Okay, time out. As a dad and a husband of a wife that doesn't like sports, my wife was watching the game because she's like, "Oh, that's kind of neat," and then it explains stuff, and she's like, "Oh, look at that!" And then the kid was watching it too.
As long as they let you, as long as they let you watch it on another channel like they did, where you could watch it on the app at least.
Well, that's what I was going to say too. Is I loved it. I had 2 TVs, so I had the sound on the CBS one, and then actually was watching the Nickelodeon one with like real commentary, but still seeing SpongeBob.
I thought the slime was awesome on the.
Did you see it like SpongeBob?
The first down line was great.
In the uprights, did you see that?
Yeah, that was kind of neat, but just the commentary, like as big fans like us, it's not meant for us. That's why I got so sick of it. The fact that the girl got amazed by a punt, that I'm like, okay, I'm fucking done. Yeah.
But no, with the wife and kids, they actually paid attention to football, which was amazing. So.
Okay, you know what? I'll take it back. If it's gonna like bring a different element into the game, that would never give it a shot because it was too boring for them. And let's be real, like if you're not a big fan of football, football is boring. But people really only get excited about scoring plays. Like watching them slug through 90 yards. If you're not explosive and throwing the ball down the field, that's a boring game to watch. And people will tune out that aren't like serious fans. But it's not baseball, so there's that.
Yeah. Before we move on to the next game, though, can we just note that they gave out a Nickelodeon valuable player that was voted on by fans at home, and Mitch Trubisky won that award. That just goes to show the audience that was watching that game. They don't know what good football is. They award Mitch Trubisky with the Nickelodeon Most Valuable Player.
Probably the best award he'll ever win in his life.
Hey, that's one award that Mahomes and
I
Watson will
hope
never
they
have.
give him like I hope they give him like a plaque, and he
No, it's
frames
a
it in his
trophy.
house.
It's a
He got
blimp.
a trophy. It's a big
God,
like.
I hope
It
it's in his
looks like
trophy. I hope
It's in-
20 years from now, when he's doing an analysis on like somewhere, I don't know, college probably, they zoom into him because we're all still in our houses, hopefully not going outside with the rest of the world because our stuff is in here. And you just see this blimp trophy in a glass case behind him. And just like it's his one trophy he's ever won.
I hope he brings that to every post game press conference that he has from here on out. Just want to leave this right here, guys. All right, I'll take any questions.
Which will all be one from now on till the end of time, and it's because he's going to be a backup at every
Yep.
other team plays.
Pretty
He'll
for.
be, he'll be like, Rogers doesn't have this, does he?
Nope.
I'm better than
All right.
Rogers. Here's my proof.
All right, but let's get to the game at hand here. Like I said, Tampa Bay comes to take on New Orleans. This I don't know how to feel about this. You guys got any solid picks here to maybe help me out?
This is hard for me to pick because, like, I'm not really impressed with either one of these teams right now.
This is the tiebreaker for the year too for him, isn't it?
No,
No,
Saints
just-
swept them.
Saints did sweep him.
they're the
Yep.
ones that beat him 35-3 in one of the
Mhm.
weeks. So
Prime time too.
mhm.
Hasn't it only happened like twice where a team 0-2 to a team in the regular season went in and won in the postseason? One
Well,
of
they
them was
always
against
say
the
it's hard to
Packers.
beat a team. It's hard to beat the same team 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Buccaneers are going to take this one. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be in the mid 20s, maybe 30s, but it's going to be a very close game. But I do think Tampa takes it, and I think we're going to have a rematch of the Packers Buccaneers for the championship game.
I'm gonna go Saints. I think the pass rush of New Orleans is excellent, and Tom Brady historically, not just in Tampa Bay, struggles against the pass rush, which is why New England has pumped up so many top end offensive linemen over the years because they needed to get to that point to be able to protect Tom Brady. They do not have as good of an offensive line in Tampa Bay, though there is hope for it. There is definitely like Wirfs. He is outstanding. He's going to be an absolute beast in years, which is great. Like he was solid, coming out of college. I think I liked him. I don't remember. It would be a while. I don't remember yesterday. But Tampa Bay is on a lesser talented offensive line. When he has had people in his face this year, he has been terrible. And I don't think he'll be that bad because we're talking about playoff Tom, but I don't think the Buccaneers are going to win it, though. That would be cool if they did because, Tom Brady puts one more thing that I didn't need Belichick to, do it.
Grant, your thoughts?
Do you know what we're talking about, Grant?
Yeah.
Yes. Try to look at one more thing. No, I mean, I got to go with the Saints here just for basically all the same reasons that TJ just said. Like, you basically hit on all of them. Thanks for leaving something for me. I mean, I literally have nothing.
I'm
Cool.
going back and forth with this game. I think you guys helped me figure out. I'm gonna go Saints here too, just because they've had their number in the regular season. They shut Tom Brady down. And this is Drew Brees' swan song. I don't care what anybody says. If there's any chance he's coming back, I don't think he's coming back next year. I think the Saints are playing for him more than they are themselves right now. And it's in New Orleans too. So home field advantage for what it's worth this season. I think New Orleans does sweep them 3-0 this year. So I'm going to take the Saints there as well. Final thoughts on divisional round here before we go into trivia? No? Yes?
The lowest
Who's
over
your new
under.
Super Bowl pick, Grant?
What?
Who's your new Super Bowl pick for the NFC?
Packers. I didn't want to take them, but okay, then who is Tyler's for AFC?
Yeah.
I'm not the only one that had someone lose there.
Oh, the Browns.
Yeah,
I
his
figured.
Browns. See, you should have just went with that from the get-go, man. I knew you wanted
which is
to.
why I don't blame Tyler for jumping on Cleveland for this game.
By the way,
No.
can we just note that how cool that would be for the Buffalo Cleveland AFC title game?
I would love it.
Oh my God.
It'd be so fun to watch. No,
God,
and they'd be talking about the history
like,
all
it
the
would
time.
actually
Buffalo
be,
went
that
to the
would be a
Super Bowl
damn
and
good
lost a
game.
5th Super Bowl.
I just would love to see the Browns in their first ever.
Yeah.
Oh man, I would feel so bad because Buffalo fans are gonna be so stoked, and then like the older generation are just gonna be like, "Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck."
All right.
I want to point something out really quick before we go on. The lowest over under is the Packers Rams game at 45.5.
Yeah,
That makes
I've been
sense.
looking at the
I'll
lines
take the
and
under on
I
that.
can
The
definitely-
other three are in the 50s. Like these are going to be shootouts.
What is
Wowzers.
the Buccaneers Saints? Because
52.
that's literally what I was trying to
52?
look up when you guys
Yeah.
talked. What?
Keep in mind that
52.
only 30-20, or like 31-21 is that score. Like that's not a super high score at 52.
I think that people really need to evaluate
Also,
over-unders now
jump
because
on
of
that
high-scoring offenses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
jump on that over for that Buccaneers Saints game.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
the 57.5 for the Browns Chiefs. I was like, I was
might-
wondering why it wasn't higher until you mentioned that they can run the ball and they
Yeah.
can keep it off. Like,
Alrighty, are you guys ready for some trivia? I whipped these questions together here really quick, about a half hour or so ago. So,
cool. So they're all Bears related.
no,
Awesome.
they are not. As you can see, done with the Bears, repping my Bulls gear. Let's go.
How many other games have you watched?
None, because I've been unable to. The one that I would have watched got postponed due to COVID. So thanks, Boston. Fuckers.
Yeah, you're gonna want to edit that one out.
Why?
Don't want to be attacking cities on our podcast yet.
Fuck
especially-
Boston.
Yeah, fuck Boston.
Madison.
Yeah,
Fuck
we got a
Boston.
whole lot of listeners out in Boston.
I have my brother. My brother lives in Boston. So fuck Boston. Okay.
Yeah. So are we ready here for some
Yeah.
trivia? All right.
I got a pen.
All right.
I was-
I'm got a couple playoff type trivia questions here for you. So I'll start. Actually, we'll start with this one. So what team had the longest offensive play of the 2020 season? This is excluding kickoffs and punts. So no kick returns, no punt returns, just offensive play. Who had the longest?
The team or the player?
Team.
Oh, thank you.
I know the play.
If you want to try and guess the player too, go for it.
I know the play.
All I'm asking for is a team. If you can get the player and the yardage even, I'll give you a bonus point. I like how points in our trivia are pretty much like whose line is it anyways.
I
Like,
was just thinking that.
I keep track of it, but I don't do anything with it. Just a little fun for your
I
noggin.
honestly can't think of who it was.
You got the team at least?
No, that's the problem. I remember seeing the play.
How
I
do you-
just can't. I have no idea who the team was.
you got
Okay.
a 1 in 32 chance.
I know.
Those are better odds than roulette.
Oh, it's not the Montreal Alouettes, Alouettes, whatever the.
Say it again.
Alouettes.
I don't know why I went with that team. But that was
Alouettes.
just the first one I could think of, and I realized I didn't know their name.
Oh,
Go ahead and reveal them. Saints, Cardinals, TJ says the Panthers.
98-yard run, Panthers.
It was a 98-yard run. It was against the Panthers
Was it?
by Ronald Jones of the Tampa Bay
Oh.
Buccaneers.
Damn it!
It was
I
red.
was like looking at it. I was like, I don't think the
They
Panthers
had
let those Panthers-
red in the color.
And I even said to myself, it's one of two teams.
It was against the Panthers though in week 10. Ronald Jones busted through
I
the
could
line.
see the play, and
Mhm.
I remember red. That's why I went
Yep.
Cardinals because I
Oh,
know they had like a 92-yard run or something like that.
I can't remember offhand, but yep, Ronald Jones 98-yard play. All right. Got a couple playoff-ish questions here. Who is the active leader in playoff touchdowns?
Like most passed, or they
No,
physically
just
scored?
touchdowns scored. They physically scored. So like
Okay.
passing touchdowns don't count on this.
Okay,
fuck.
Oh, never mind.
that's why I
I
wanted.
was
Yeah,
to
like,
it's
is
pretty
it Aaron
obvious, yeah.
Rodgers or is it Tom Brady? And I was like,
No.
Yeah, I
really
was-
debating between both of them.
That's why I'm
Fig-
like, I don't want to write down Tom Brady now and be like, oh, I feel stupid.
Yeah.
Trying to think.
God.
I'm just trying to look through trying to think of who in the teams has been to the playoffs the most.
Right?
Does it have to be team? Does it have to be teams that are in the playoffs now, or just
No,
that they
it's
are
just which
actively
player
involved?
actively playing has the most playoff touchdowns, like career-wise.
Oh,
Wait. So it's not just players that are left in the playoffs.
No. I mean, like which active player, like players still playing on a roster of any team in their
Oh,
this is
career
so confusing.
has the most playoff touchdowns.
I'm wrong, but it's fine.
Man, that doesn't change my answer. I'm gonna stay with it.
It's still Mason Crosby, right?
Touchdown.
He just,
All right.
dude, he's good for like kicking 3 touchdowns this weekend.
He's gonna get a solid couple of SpongeBob's here this weekend.
TJ's either thinking hard or trying to work out a fart. I can't tell.
Both, actually. No.
Yes.
I'm basically going through every team in my head right now and thinking,
Mm.
if they've been in the playoffs, no.
We need a guess here soon.
I'm gonna put a time limit on TJ.
Yeah,
How soon do you need a guess?
pretty soon because I got 3 more questions.
Remember, there is no real prize.
Yeah, there's no prize. It's
Right.
just for fun.
Yeah, but it's bragging rights, and I'm like on a streak.
It's more or less to see your guys' knowledge and also for our listeners to test their knowledge too. So, all right,
I just threw them down.
flip them around. What do we got? He just says
Ooh,
Julio
fuck.
Jones.
Is a good one.
Is that Devontae Adams?
Yeah.
That's what I
And
would assume.
Grant says Gronkowski. The active leader in playoff touchdowns with 12 is Rob Gronkowski.
Bang. Well, that's why I was saying, like,
Gronkowski was a thing for a
I
whole.
forgot about tight ends.
Yep.
I actually didn't. I went through and was like, Travis Kelce?
that's actually what made
So-
me think of Gronk.
If you do happen to go look at these lists, Marshawn Lynch technically is still active, but I threw him out because he's not currently on a team. He's just a free agent. Who knows if he'll be back? He also has 12 touchdowns, so it technically was a tie there. But Marshawn Lynch does not count as active in my books. So, all right, along the same lines here. Who is the active player with the most playoff rushing yards? By the way, for you guys' knowledge, the all-time touchdown playoff record is owned by Jerry Rice. He has 22.
That does not surprise me at all.
Most rushing yards.
active player leader playoff rushing yards. I don't know how to word it right.
This one's like, there's more to work with this one.
Mm-hmm. Grant, you got a guess?
You said active, right?
Yep, active.
Okay.
The same type of deal with the
I
last
feel like,
question.
well, Marshawn could be one of those guys, but
Yeah, nope. I already said Marshawn is excluded because although he is a free agent, he's not currently on
Yeah.
anybody's team. So, all right. We all got guesses?
Yeah.
All righty. What do we got?
LaShawn McCoy.
LaShawn McCoy. Shockingly, no. This
Frank
is
Gore?
surprising. Frank Gore has 668 playoff yards. Who has 2 more than him? Derrick Henry.
oh well, yeah, that's
Derrick Henry has
I should have thought of
670
that.
isn't
playoff
that in
rushing
1 year
yards.
too. That's in 2 games.
Basically in 3 games, yeah. So
I was
but
out. It was up between McCoy and Gore for me.
I
Yeah.
wrote Frank Gore down and then crossed him out.
he
I was
just
trying to remember
surpassed
if
him.
Gore- I was trying to remember.
You
if Gore
said
had, like,
668, and I was like, that has to be wrong because I was like, there's no way. But then I was like, Frank Gore only really made the postseason
Yeah.
with the Niners, who only really made it 2 or 3 years.
Mhm.
And then, but 668, that seems low,
The-
especially when you talk about like Shady McCoy, who was on all of those playoff teams for the Eagles.
They didn't run a lot.
Yeah.
True.
They do a lot of screen passes.
True.
Just to for context here, the all-time playoff rushing yard leader is Emmitt Smith with 1,586
Yeah, never
yards.
mind. That we could have guessed.
Yeah.
We weren't going to guess Walter Payton.
Weren't gonna guess Barry Sanders either.
Oh.
All right,
Poor Barry.
we're going to get
What's
out
his
of.
career record? 100.
Ooh.
Barry Sanders.
All right. Who is the active leader in interceptions thrown? We all know who is the career leader in this, but who is the active leader?
Ooh, Eli Manning retired.
I could be wrong, but it's a solid guess.
I can hold the button down and it erases. That's awesome. I just found that out. I accidentally squeezed it while I was writing and it erased, and I was like,
That's what she said.
I know. All right, I'm good.
All
right, what do we got?
Rivers.
Tyler says
There's
Jameis
no way
Winston.
Jameis Winston has more interceptions than Phillip Rivers. If that is the
Phillip
truth,
Rivers
I will
is the
be
second.
shocked.
Phillip Rivers is the
Is it
second
Jameis Winston?
active leader. The first active leader is Drew Brees.
I was, dude. Oh,
Drew Brees
I
has
was so close to
200.
putting him down.
Drew Brees has 243 interceptions. Phillip
Jameis
Rivers
Winston's
is
got to be up there. He had like 50 in one season.
he's up there.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
he only
he
played
is.
like 3 seasons.
Phillip Rivers is the
He's got, like,
next
100.
active, and I believe he has 217, if I remember what I read correctly. But yeah,
That's surprising to me because Phillip Rivers has had like multiple 20 interception seasons.
I know, right?
How many
It's kind of
Drew-
crazy. All right, and our final question here. Who was the first quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards in a season?
Wait, what was the question?
Who was the first
I was
quarterback?
looking up Drew Brees' stats.
Who was the first quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards in a season? I know that's the norm now, pretty much, but who was the first person to ever do it? I'll give you a hint on this one. It happened in a 14-game season.
No.
So it is an older player. Yep.
Wait, I know this.
Can I get two
What?
answers? Because I'm between two people.
Oh.
I'm gonna go with the one that's not.
I think I'm picking the one that Grant's not picking.
You guys all got answers? Can't tell if
Yeah.
AJ's. Okay. Who do we got?
Warren Moon.
Warren Moon. Fran Tarkenton, Tyler?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was
says,
actually thinking of a
TJ
different
says
Michael.
Broadway Joe, and TJ is correct. It is Joe Namath.
Jesus.
In a 14-game season in 1967, he threw for 4,007 yards. He was the first to ever do it.
Did
Jesus,
Warren Moon didn't
way
play in the
off in my
14-game
time.
seasons, did he?
Was he a quarterback during the scab season? Because that was a shortened season, wasn't it?
That was 12 games, though.
The
I
strike
thought.
season.
Oh, that's game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's our trivia this week. God, I stumped you guys
so I
this
see
week.
why it is. So number one, Drew Brees has played longer by a couple years.
are you still on that question?
Yeah. So he was
He is not doing that one up, man.
20+ year interception year, but he has had a lot of 15+. He's 15, 17, 12, 14, 19, 22, 11, 17, 18, 11, 15, 15, 16, 7.
You got to think Drew Brees consistently passed every season
Yeah.
because a lot of those years Rivers had LaDainian Tomlinson he could hand the ball off to too. So
What is
attempts
the anytime that dude threw for more than 600 passing attempts in a season, you're talking that he threw the lowest was 11 interceptions.
Yeah.
And that was 4,800 yards.
Fat shit cat.
My fat shit cat's cleaning himself behind me. I love
Nice.
it.
Alrighty. So that's our trivia. I hope you guys enjoy that at home. If you got a question that you want us to stump it on, send it to us on Facebook. We do have an email address. I never checked that. It's fatguysportstalk@gmail.com too.
Do we actually?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta
Really?
have one to, yeah. So, but all right, we shall move on here to some big coaching hires. Tyler's gonna say goodbye. He's got some stuff to do, so we will see him next time. Thanks for joining, Tyler.
Yep, and I'll talk next time about how much the Nets are gonna suck this year with getting Harden.
Yeah, well,
It's gonna be funny.
We'll talk a little bit about what happened, and then next week we'll get to see how that actually played out on the court. So, all right, we'll see you next week, Tyler.
Yep, see y'all later.
Your cat, I love her.
So Tyler's gone. Well, like I said, we'll see him next week, but we are going to discuss some more off the field things that happened in football this week. We've had a couple coaching hires and a couple things with the Bears that maybe I'll touch on as well. But we're gonna go over the three. Is it just three coaches that got hired this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus a GM. I
And a
believe.
GM. Yep. So
There may have been more than one GM. I wasn't really paying attention to that part, but
do we want to start with the big one that happened today down in Jacksonville, or should we?
yeah, Jacksonville hired Urban Meyer down in Florida to coach, and I think that is a great hire. He did a great everywhere he's gone. He's won. The problem was he did have some issues at Ohio State, I guess you could say. But also, you can't always. Everyone loves to blame the coach for that. That's not always his fault. You're talking about managing 50 to 60 college kids, all with their own, blowing egos that are coming out of the water. That's difficult to contain for anybody. But Urban Meyer, he put Tim Tebow on the map, number one. He's also one of the things that impressed me a lot is when you get a lot of new coaches, they bring in friendly hires, which we'll get into that a little bit later too. He said everybody's texting him with recommendations for coaching positions on his staff, and he came out and said, "Do not text me unless that coach that you are recommending to me is elite in every single layer. I do not want good coaches. I want great coaches. Jacksonville deserves no less." And that is a good thing to lead with, because if he starts going after guys that are elite in these areas, you're talking about a Jacksonville team that has not had a lot of teaching throughout, past 10 years. There haven't been guys there that can develop players. You're talking about bringing that in now at Jacksonville. So you're talking right now a rebuilding project. He's not going to make the Jaguars, playoff contention the next 2, maybe even 3 years, but year 4, that's where you're going to start to see some danger, just like the Browns did.
Grant, you got thoughts on Urban Meyer?
Yeah, I was really looking forward to kind of cheering for the Jaguars, and now that's just out the window because fuck Urban Meyer. You're talking about all this like he's gone everywhere and won, which yeah, he went to Utah and won. He went to Florida and won. Went to Ohio State and won. He's never been in the NFL before, and then he's gonna come here and say, "Oh, like." The way that I read it was that he only wants new people that like really, in order to be elite, why are they available? Like if they're elite coaches, it really seems
They
like
might
he's gonna
not be.
try and run this.
They might not be. They might be positional coaches on other staffs that deserve a shot at a coordinator position that he's going to bring in. It could be that maybe there are some guys that are in retirement or some guys that are in the college level that need to be looked at that he can bring in as a coach. You have to consider not all of these NFL coaches started at somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether it was coaching in college, coaching in high school, they all started somewhere. And they got their shot in the NFL because someone brought them up and they did an outstanding job. And those are the kind of guys that Urban Meyer is talking about. What it sounds like is Urban Meyer is going to start his own coaching tree. If obviously he would have to pan out, he'd have to win Super Bowls. These coaches would have to go on to be successful, that type of thing. We're talking 10, 15 years down the road if it lasts that long. But for Urban Meyer, like to come in and say, I need these kind of coaches, that's a good thing because you can look at players on maybe like the Kansas City Chiefs, coaches there that may want a position somewhere else, and you can bring in that kind of element to the offense with a good enough coach. That's what I see. And it's not necessarily that they don't have jobs. It's that they do have jobs, but they're not going to get a chance to move up. There's a reason Aaron Rodgers didn't start until Brett Favre said he was done. It doesn't matter how good you are. If you have Brett Favre ahead of him, it's not going to work out. I'm sorry.
Fuck Urban Meyer. I hate Urban Meyer. I also wonder how long is he going to stay down there? Because he goes in, he does not stick around very long. I wonder how much of that does change now that it's the NFL, but we'll see.
Yeah, Grant, when I talked with you earlier today, you made a point too that this might be his one chance to one up Nick Saban too.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, he hasn't won up Saban in anything. At this point, Saban is dominating him.
Oh yeah.
You know, Urban Meyer was a very successful college coach. Nick Saban is a legend at this point. He has won national championships with multiple schools. He's won how many out of the last, we'll say 11 that he has taken home? Like, he's nuts as a coach, great recruiter. But yeah, if Urban Meyer's maybe wins a Super Bowl in Jacksonville, you're talking about he's the better all-around coach potentially.
It's the thing. Like Urban Meyer found success. In my opinion, he got his great start at Utah. I'm not sure if he coached before that. I just don't know that offhand. But then he goes to schools like Florida and Ohio State, which are already pretty reputable universities that could probably lure talent anyways. Now he goes to Jacksonville, which has never been, a destination for players or even coaches for that matter to go to. So now it's going to be a real test to see. You don't recruit in the NFL, but you get people to come to you from free agency and stuff. Can he do that in a place like Jacksonville that hasn't
We're
really
gonna
had much
get to see the
success?
sweater vest too, guys.
Is he really gonna wear that in fucking Jacksonville? It's gonna be hot.
He did it in Florida.
Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah.
He did it, yeah, in Tallahassee. He was doing it. So,
Gainesville.
Oh, was it Gainesville? Yeah, my bad. Who's in Tallahassee that I'm thinking of?
Florida State.
Thank you. Yeah, not them. Yeah, so you're gonna get to see that, but also like one of the things you have to consider too when you're talking about luring players in, where did he coach out of the past 10 years, where was he coaching?
The football factory that is
SEC
Ohio State.
And Ohio State.
Yeah.
Like there are plenty of guys in the NFL that would remember Urban Meyer and go, oh man, maybe I do want to play for him. Yo, coach, trade for me. There's also a talk out there wondering that I kind of want to touch on since we're on this team. Do you think that the Jacksonville Jaguars potentially trade the number 1 pick to Houston to bring in Deshaun Watson?
I would love to see
that. That is a good question because I would say yes.
I would say
Watson
no.
Young enough?
The fact that they're same division. I don't see those franchises. I don't see giving away.
Oh, but look what you get if you're Houston, right? If you trade away your franchise quarterback, who is young, who is healthy, who is outstanding this year. I'm talking Deshaun Watson deserved MVP votes for his season this year, but he's not going to get any because he was on a terrible team.
Mm-hmm.
Watson wants out. The Texans have no picks. You trade Watson for like a first and maybe a fourth and like a sixth, get you some additional picks. You have some talent to rebuild with. You also lose a ton of cap room, or you gain a ton of cap room because they have issues with it. And if you're Jacksonville, you don't risk another first-round pick on another first-round quarterback that may not pan out just because that's a bad franchise. You bring in a known quantity who is electric, who will put butts in seats, and who can lead your franchise. That's what you gain out of it. But like on the downside, you don't really know with Trevor Lawrence yet. You could be getting, Patrick Mahomes. You could also be getting Ryan Leaf. I don't know. I haven't done enough tape on him yet, but I don't like Lawrence as much as everyone else does.
All right. The other next coaching hire here, should we talk about the Jets?
Let's do Jets last. Let's leave some good news for the end.
Okay. So the Falcons?
Yeah, let's go to the Falcons with Arthur Smith, who, number one, should not have been hired for this team. But he has already hired his offensive coordinator, who Aaron is well familiar with. Yep. He has been the passing game coordinator of Chicago. This guy has not been successful in any role he's been in the NFL, coming in 2010. He was not successful as a player before then. Who is this gentleman, Aaron?
Dave Ragone.
Dave Ragone.
Yep.
Is the new offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, which means if you are Matt Ryan, I am begging to be traded or cut. At this point, I don't see that situation getting any better in Atlanta. I think you are about to watch Atlanta fall back to the basement of that division, and Matt Ryan retires or leaves the team within the next 2 to 3 years.
I really don't understand why they didn't retain Raheem Morris. Like, I thought he did a decent job taking over for Quinn.
I don't think he's a good coach. I don't think he deserves that position, but he's better than Arthur Smith.
Yeah, definitely. Grant, you got thoughts?
Not really.
Oh, really? It's an organization that I don't see much happening with them. I feel they're on a downward trend. Julio Jones is probably near the ending of his career.
I mean,
Todd Gurley is old. Matt Ryan's aging. It's a team
I
that needs to start a rebuild at some point.
I understand the allure of bringing him in because he did run Tennessee's offense, right? But that implies you think Todd Gurley is Derrick Henry. He just doesn't have a good enough game plan. And he's not.
No.
And
He
also,
can't even
Matt
not
Ryan
score
is
a
not
touchdown,
Ryan
right?
Tannehill. Like, Matt Ryan's a way better passer than Tannehill is, but he cannot move.
No.
And Tannehill can. So I don't know, like, if he thinks he's bringing this offense in to be a carbon copy, what he's planning on doing. But outside of that, you know, outside of his time with the Titans, because he has been he's only coached for the Titans. Outside of one season where he was a defensive quality assistant with the Redskins. Since coming in as a coach in 2011, he was a defensive quality control coach, an offensive quality control coach the next year, promoted to offensive line and tight ends assistant, to assistant tight ends coach, to tight ends coach for 2 years, to being the offensive coordinator for 1, and now the head coach. That is.
I mean, maybe they're hoping to strike gold, just
Maybe.
like Green Bay did with bringing over LaFleur from Tennessee. And maybe they're thinking Smith, but I don't see it either.
How you hire with some of the candidates that are out there, you still have Jim Caldwell out there.
Yeah.
Who I think is he is the best option Houston has. Houston is a super unattractive coaching position. You have no first round picks. I don't even know if you have second round picks this year. You're missing picks next year. You have a super high cap space.
How are they missing picks? They're the ones that traded Hopkins. Did they trade picks with that too?
They traded for Tunsil and Brandon Cooks and gave up first round picks for them.
Okay.
And then
did you see the meme that Bill O'Brien got hired as Alabama's offensive coordinator? And I saw a meme that Bill O'Brien just got his first round picks back.
Nice.
I mean, it's accurate. And I mean, Bill O'Brien's not a bad offensive mind. He was very good in New England. He was very good at Penn State. He is not a guy that needs to be running an organization. No. He might have been a great head coach, to be honest. He showed a lot of potential early on. And then, like, this madman GM kind of came in and that team fell apart.
Too much power.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the last coaching hire. Probably another one of the better ones that we've seen yet. The Jets hiring Robert Saleh. Is that how you pronounce it?
I thought it was Saleh.
Saleh, who was the defensive coordinator over in San Francisco. TJ, I know you're saying you love this hire. I think it was good too. I think it's funny that Detroit couldn't land him even after they had all them senators vouch for the Lions to get this guy.
I mean, do we even know if he interviewed for Detroit?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I would see why not. He's from Detroit, and it fills the Rooney Rule too for them. So why not have him? But either way, he did take the position with the Jets. Does this get the Jets more wins next year?
I don't think you're necessarily looking for next year. That is a team that is devoid of talent on both sides of the ball and special teams. You are talking about a guy that needs to, yes, they're not going to be as bad as they are this year. Even if they only win 2 games, they're not going to be as bad as they are this year. But yeah, I'm not sure that they're going to be that much better next year. They have to bring in a ton of talent. They have to bring in some free agents, even if they're not high profile, just mid-level guys that can play and be coached up and maybe fill in some depth, but they need a lot of work on that team. But that is a great hire going forward. The guy is excellent, high character guy, outstanding defensive coach. I think it's going to be a great fit in New England, or
New York.
Northeast is what I meant, but I said New England. But yeah, in New York. Wow.
It's not going to make any drastic changes, like you said, but it is probably the best spot to start from.
I just want to point out, like, the Lions interviewed Robert on whatever his last name is,
Soleil, yeah.
They interviewed him on the 7th. They interviewed Arthur Campbell 3 days ago and then hired him today.
The Lions did hire somebody?
Or sorry, they also interviewed Arthur Smith. Sorry, I didn't mean hired him.
The Lions interviewed him, or
The Lions interviewed Arthur Smith as well. Yeah.
Okay, so the Lions
And
have
they
made a hire
interviewed
too.
Robert Saleh.
The Lions made a hire today, though. That's what you're saying.
No.
Okay.
No.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I mean, at first I was looking at it and looking at their interviews, and I forgot I was looking at the Lions. The Lions have interviewed Marvin Lewis, Eric Bieniemy, Darrell Bevel, Robert Saleh, Dan Campbell, and Arthur Smith. They will be interviewing Todd Bowles, and did a second interview with Arthur Smith today before he took the job for the Falcons. That is kind of surprising to me.
Yeah.
That he got a job and a second interview, but Robert Saleh only got the first there. That shocks me.
Yeah.
Lions are going to keep losing.
Grant, what do you think about the hire?
I mean, I just really wonder how big of a leash does he have with the Jets, like knowing the issues that they're facing in the future. That's actually what I was asking in our group thing. Like, I've never really paid attention to coaching contracts in particular, but that's why I was asking how significant is a 5-year contract for a new coach? But
pretty normal, I would think.
Pretty normal.
That's why I was.
You'll see a lot of 3 and 4 year deals, but 5 is somebody you give somebody you have a lot of confidence in coming in, not just a head coach that you're bringing in hoping they'll change it. This is a guy you think is fantastic.
Yeah,
well, and that's what I was wondering, like, about the length of it too. Like, that's just what when I saw the news come through, that's what I noticed right away was the 5-year contract.
The dude, he's got just look the character that he's going to bring to that organization. I think is going to start a really decent turnaround for them. He just looks like a guy that's meant to be a coach of an NFL team.
It does sound like the Detroit Lions are really high on Dan Campbell based on like everything I'm seeing here. If you don't remember Dan Campbell, he used to play for the Saints back in 2009. I believe he was a tight end. And then since 2009, he was a coaching intern with the Dolphins, then was a tight ends coach for 4 years with the Dolphins, then was the interim head coach in 2015, and then has been with the Saints for the past 4 years.
Interesting. It's a name I haven't heard of. I'm just kind of shocked to hear that Marvin Lewis is getting jobs or job interviews. Yeah.
Well, he did coach somewhat successfully for 12 seasons. I mean, he has a winning record as an NFL coach. He was given
no
Andy
playoff
Dalton
success
head coach as a quarterback, man. But he also made the mistake of standing behind Andy Dalton instead of saying we need something new.
He was a guy that, from what I remember, anytime he was on the hot seat of, Marvin Lewis could be fired, he would go out and have a 12-win season and save his job for 2 more years. And then he would have a bad year and like, could this be the year? And then boom, 11-win season and division championship.
At one point, the only coach that had as many years in the NFL with fewer Super Bowl wins than Mike McCarthy was Marvin Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, the Lions seem that they are into Dan Campbell, who I think would be a good coach. He was a tight ends coach exclusively with the Dolphins, started as an assistant tight ends coach with the Saints, and is actually assistant head coach now. So he's the guy that fills in for Peyton and when Peyton needs to go piss, I guess, or do whatever he does. But yeah, Dan Campbell's a really good choice for that. I like that. And keep in mind, you still have the Houston Texans, super undesirable position. The Chargers are looking for a head coach now, and the Eagles need a head coach. And I'm also wondering, is anybody going to go look for Doug Peterson? Because he did not end his coaching career on a good note. Like, he looked like a very bad head coach. So we'll see.
Before we get off coach talk, I know I'm done with the Bears, but we should just touch on them a little bit.
Yeah.
They decided to not fire anybody, period. I know we had a pretty heated debate in our Snapchat about this.
It's
Nagy's
only
back,
heated if you're wrong,
Pace is
which you
back,
were.
Thompson is back. Um, I'm siding with you on the justification for keeping Nagy. There is a reason
And
to
that's
keep him
all I
around.
was saying is
Yeah.
that Nagy should stay. Pace needs to be fired.
Yes, everybody from Pace on up should be fired. The fact that in their postseason press conference, Ted Thompson and George McCaskey were saying that their 6-game losing streak was adversity and almost sounding like they were proud. They used that as a good thing. Like a 6-game losing streak is not adversity. Losing players to injury is adversity, not the fact that you cannot perform on the field. That's not adversity. That's not something to highlight as a positive of your season.
What they were saying in that press conference, without leaving out the next part, is that they were proud of the way they bounced back and won out to get into the postseason.
But
like they could have just kept skidding. They could have been the Jets. They could have been the Jaguars and just had an embarrassing year. And yeah, you
dissect
a high
that
draft pick out of it, but
dissect that more. Look at who they beat this year. Look at who they lost to. They beat
I
one
get
playoff team. All their losses were to playoff teams. They
but
snuck
also
in.
made the
They
postseason
bounced
and the
back.
Vikings didn't.
They bounced back by beating Jacksonville, Houston, and Minnesota.
Listen, I get what you're saying because you're
Yeah.
looking at it from the perspective of a fan. But if you're in ownership at that and you're looking and you see your team that had the fight, that after losing 6 games in embarrassing fashion, they stuck their feet in the ground and fought back and won 2 games. Even if it was against trash teams, they also lost to trash teams. You know, it's not like they were out there losing to Super Bowl contenders all year. No, they were losing to some garbage. And the Bears fought back, won out, got into the postseason. And that's a good thing to look at. I don't think Pace should have been kept. It's pretty obvious by anyone outside of the Bears organization that Pace cannot identify talent. Nagy is hamstrung with this GM there because he cannot bring in players with any talent. The only player on that offense with talent has been Allen Robinson, and the Bears have been dicking him around about a contract all year long. Yeah, he's had some moments where you're like, yo, and you want to be paid. But on the other hand, you get rid of him and your offense is going back to the Stone era. This guy is a top 5 NFL receiver. He can hang with DeAndre Hopkins. He can hang with Devontae Adams. He can hang with the best of them. And the Bears have been like, I don't know if I want to pay you because we have so many other options coming up in the the youth, who 2 of them have been ejected from games for getting into fights.
Those 2 should not be on the team next year. Javon Wims and Anthony Miller. Yep. Not just honestly, for the attitude, it's for what they've done on the field.
Had you made that argument to me in the snap when we were talking about it, been like, yeah, but look what happened. 2 fights, 2 players ejected in one season. I would have jumped on him and like, Nagy should go. That is a severe discipline issue. And the thing I have is how much say does he have in personnel? Does he have any? Can he go to Pace and be like, get rid of these guys? Will Pace listen? Or will Pace say, well, I think they're integral to the team?
But I can sum up the Bears season like I put on Facebook. It was a scam. That's how I feel about it. They Nagy and Pace and Thompson and McCaskey, they say, or sorry, Ted Phillips, not Ted Thompson. They say all the right things to make you feel warm and fuzzy inside, but don't back it up. They give you a sense of hope and belief and don't follow through on it. It was a scam season. 8-8. They should have been 4-12. They should have not made the playoffs. Next year is I don't even want to look forward to next year because who knows what they'll do in the draft. I don't know. I'm done with the Bears for right now. We'll talk about them in April when the draft comes around. So
I hope they trade away all their draft picks.
Wouldn't put it past them at this point. Nothing should surprise me from them. But yeah, any more football talk this week?
We really just need to talk about how TJ just said that Allen Robinson is on the same level as Devontae Adams.
He is. Are you
I wouldn't
fucking
go
kidding
that
me?
I
high.
disagree with that.
Are you fucking kidding me? The only
Dude,
thing
have you seen
Devontae
how many
Adams
balls
has
he-
over Allen Robinson is an elite quarterback. Allen Robinson was putting up top 5 numbers with Blake fucking Bortles. What do you
That was-
mean he's not on the same level?
Because I've seen him drop how many balls this
Yeah,
year.
he did have some issues early on in the
Yeah.
season. Talent, and if you point to a
Yeah.
season where Devontae Adams has not struggled at any point in the season, I'm going to call you a fucking liar.
This year.
Because Devontae Adams was not good when he was first coming into the league.
Yeah, it's
No, I know,
not
but
many
Allen
people are.
Robinson-
But I'm
is
saying,
not
like,
good.
Devontae Adams has had his struggles too. Allen Robinson did too earlier. But the difference is that Allen Robinson had Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles throwing him the football. He didn't have Aaron Rodgers putting the ball on the money every single time. This is a guy that has had Mitchell Trubisky, who it's lucky if he gets in the area of a receiver, let alone in stride while he's running and not behind him while he's being enclosed by 2 receivers. Go watch those plays on these drops that he's had, and he's always blanketed by cover. It's never a wide open pass he's dropping or something he's catching in stride. It's shit he has to do on these plays.
Yeah.
Like
I do
and
agree
he's
with
getting hit.
I do agree with both of you there. I think Allen Robinson is one of the best receivers in the league. I do also think Devontae Adams is slightly better.
Oh, he
but-
is. I'm just
but
saying that Allen
again-
Robinson can hang with them.
I can't put him on the same tier though.
They are.
I
They're
can.
both elite receivers.
I can.
If you were to pick 5 receivers to stand above everybody else in the NFL, Allen Robinson would be on that list.
He would probably be the number 5 receiver. But yeah,
he
he'd
would
be on that
probably be the
list.
number
yeah.
5, but he would be on that list.
Because I mean, give me that list. You got Devontae,
Devontae
you got
Adams.
Hopkins.
You've got Hopkins, you've got Allen Robinson. Let me pull up the damn thing because I'm thinking.
Well,
So I mean, guys that you could have had on there before, like a Julio Jones and AJ Green, they're not there anymore.
No.
You know,
Julio Jones might be. We don't know. He was
Maybe.
injured all year long, right?
Mike
So
Evans. I would throw Mike Evans.
I would
ahead
throw
of-
Mike Evans
I
on
would
there.
not put Mike Evans on that list anymore. I would say Mike Evans is a step below them. He used to be up in that tier, but through the first 6 games, he had less than 200 yards. Like he was in the game, he was catching touchdowns from the 1-yard line, which is where most of his touchdowns are this year. But I can't say you're a great receiver if you play like a tight end all year. You know, he only started catching like the last half of the season is when he caught fire.
One person that you might hear
you got-
people throw in there that I don't think should be in that top 5 is Tyreek Hill. I think he is
Tyreek Hill,
very
I would not put in the
one-dimensional.
top 5.
Nope.
He isn't a top 10 receiver in my opinion. He
He's a
plays on a team
weapon.
that utilizes speed,
Mhm.
and he's a weapon.
Yeah. When it comes to receiver abilities, I don't see it with him. He's just fast.
Michael Thomas probably
Michael
goes on that
Thomas,
list
yeah.
around the year. He
I
doesn't
put
go on it
OBJ.
this year, though. He doesn't go on it this year. He was
Yeah.
out all year long.
Mhm.
That takes you have to play to be on that list.
The other guy you
DK
could throw in there
Metcalf
is
makes
Yep,
it onto that list after
is
this year.
DK. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's who. Yeah.
you know who I really want to put on that list, but it's just a step below those guys right now is Amari Cooper. I want to put him on that list, but
Yeah.
you can't justify it. And then you know who else would be on the list if I had to pick any other receiver in the NFL to be on that list, it would
Diggs?
be Stefan Diggs.
Yeah. Stephon
Yeah.
Diggs. Yeah.
But like, I don't know if it's just like
Who else is better
Packers
than
bias
that?
like against Vikings, but like, has Diggs always been this fucking good?
Yeah.
Or is
He
it
was the
just-
Yeah.
reason you guys were getting your asses kicked in Minnesota is because he would catch. The difference between now and in Minnesota is in Minnesota he was also playing opposite and healthy Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
Adam Thielen has not been healthy this year. So he didn't catch 10 balls a game like he is now, where he is the main option, but he was still putting up 100-yard games and tearing you guys to shreds.
That's true.
And also was the reason Case Keenum got a job in Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is true.
But yeah, like
Right.
outside of those 5, who else do you put in that list? Let us know. Because
Yeah.
I mean, there are guys you can say, like, you know, you have guys like a Mike Evans or an Amari Cooper.
Keenan
or
Allen.
Keenan Allen, who's
Yeah.
never been in that elite conversation, but has been like a top 10.
And you have young guys that are slowly getting there, like your Justin Jefferson and this year. Adam Thielen, maybe, but I don't think he's
It's
there
funny
yet.
if you think about who was in that top 5 years ago. None of them are now except for Hopkins.
Mhm.
Beckham Jr. is garbage, has been the last 2 years. AJ Green has been nowhere to be found all season long for the past 2 years, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, Julio Jones was nowhere to be found this year.
I would make a case for Claypool starting to.
Claypool
make his way
is
up there. He's making his way up there.
he hasn't done enough to be on that list. He hasn't
Yeah.
proven that he
Juju
can
would be
outplay
higher than
Juju.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
Juju
I don't know
not
how I
even
didn't think
top
of
10.
Yeah.
The thing that's really good about the Steelers, if you are a Steelers fan, is while you are in dangerous road with your quarterback going forward from this position, because you either stay with Roethlisberger, who is declining, or you go with Mason Rudolph, or you draft somebody new. The Steelers might be the option to try to trade away a number 1 pick for Deshaun Watson, by the way. You let Roethlisberger go, you bring in Watson. The Steelers are dangerous when it comes to drafting receivers. Ever since Hines Ward. It was Hines Ward and Plaxico Burress. Then it was Plaxico Burress. And it was Plaxico Burress and the guy that went Santonio Holmes. Then it was Santonio Holmes. Then it was, Antonio Brown. And then it was Juju Smith-Schuster.
Juju.
Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson. And they just have this ability to draft outstanding receivers. And
It's not just outstanding receivers. They get the most because, I mean, you forget guys like Marcus Wheaton and James Washington. Even the little guys had good seasons for him, too.
yeah. And another thing with Juju Smith-Schuster is I don't think the Steelers bring him back this next year. I think he deserves to be brought back 100%, but I don't think from an organizational standpoint how you justify it when you can bring in Chase Claypool to fill that role and probably do just as good. Chase Claypool is a monster.
Speaking of receivers and drafting them, if they don't keep Juju, what are the odds of them, or if he falls, Devonta Smith?
He won't. There's no chance he falls.
You think he's a top 5 pick?
There is no fucking way. It doesn't even have to be a top 5 pick. For the Steelers to get him, they would have to trade up. There's no chance.
I'm not sure where he is on a draft board right now. That's all.
He is my number 1 player on my draft board. That guy
I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard people saying he's top 5. I've heard people saying he's not even a first round pick.
No, keep in mind all of my like ratings right now. I haven't watched shit for college tape outside of the occasional game and highlight footage. I typically start getting into that in February.
Okay.
So,
while we're on the topic of that, the Alabama Crimson Tide did win the national championship. Devonta Smith only needed 1.5 to prove that he was the best player in college football this year.
That was ridiculous.
3 touchdowns, 200 some yards receiving?
200 some yards, 3 touchdowns in like the first half.
First half.
Tyreek Hill levels, man.
Yep. Yeah.
Tyreek Smith.
And Mac Jones and then Najee Harris held it down in the second half as Ohio State kept close for a little while, and then it was the Tide show. So Nick Saban becomes he passed Bear Bryant for most championships all time by a single coach, and the first coach to win a title in 3 different decades.
I don't think Ohio State should have been in those playoffs, man.
No,
they didn't deserve it.
No.
But at the same time, they did smoke Clemson, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they destroyed Clemson.
Yeah. So, whatever.
Yeah. So
fuck you if you're going to tell me that there was a team that deserved to be in there over Clemson, because there wasn't.
No.
So,
that's why I thought it should have been Alabama Clemson.
Because you know what? It would have been Ohio State in a normal season anyways. There would have been less doubt behind it because they would have gone full season. Ohio State was going to be in the playoffs. Who in their division is capable of dethroning them right now?
Nobody.
Nobody. Michigan's garbage. Wisconsin is garbage. Minnesota is garbage.
Everybody, even Northwestern that won that other division, they're not good.
Yeah.
They have a decent defense that held Ohio State in check for a little bit, but they're not good. No. Indiana might be on the come up though. Who knows?
Well, that's even the division. That's not even the conference. That's a division. So
yeah. So who knows what we will see next year? We have a long ways for college football to get started again.
Just take Michigan out for how long did they sign Harbaugh?
5 years, I thought.
Yeah, take them out for that long too.
Pretty much. Yeah. Also, speaking of the Big Ten, we never touched on this. This happened a few weeks ago. Illinois has a new coach.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Brett
God, I
Bielema
cannot
coming back
wait
to
for
the
them
Big
to come
Ten.
to Madison and just hear the fucking booze come from Brett Bielema.
He was terrible.
I don't
God.
know why they hired him. I don't even know
He
why they
was
let Lovie Smith
recommended
go.
by Barry Alvarez. He was like one of Barry Alvarez's like favorite people or whatever, and they hired him on or something like that. Yeah.
Great. He hasn't been successful in a
No,
long time.
he has not. Well, that's what happens when you leave a losing program in, or not a losing program, but not a
Yeah,
great
that would-
program in Wisconsin, to go build up Arkansas and get crushed by Alabama every
Mhm.
year.
Right.
You want to know what division I don't want to coach in college football? I don't give a fuck what team it is. It's SEC, specifically because I don't want to play Alabama. I'll go play in LSU's division or whoever the hell doesn't play Alabama, but I'm not playing in their division. No way.
I honestly don't know why Illinois fired Lovie Smith. Yes, he didn't
serious?
have winning
It's
seasons,
Lovey
but
fucking Smith.
I honestly didn't think he was doing that terrible of a job.
He's awful. Lovey Smith is dog shit as a coach and has been since he first stepped onto the sidelines with the Chicago Bears.
Okay, is he worse than Brett Bielema?
Fair point. I can see this.
My
too.
point exactly. So if you were gonna fire him,
How
at
do you
least
go
bring
and
in
go?
somebody
Yeah,
better.
Brett Bielema. That's the
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
That's the guy. I was like shocked that they were bringing in for NFL head coaching jobs, but it was the other dude. I can't remember his name right now, but Bielema or something.
Bieniemy?
Yeah, Bielema.
Bieniemy, yeah.
That's when I
'Cause-
was like last week. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
I mean, he's
Illinois
gonna
beat-
get. Yeah. Go ahead, Grant.
Illinois beat Wisconsin a couple of years ago. It was a huge upset, and now they're just trying to make sure that happens every year. Like they just want that feeling over and over. They're in the inside scoop.
That's what drugs will do to you, bud. That's pretty much what that is. It was just a drug for them. They were like, "Yes, we need to chase that high."
I don't think the only other big football news that should be talked about, Josh Gordon indefinitely suspended again.
Who cares at this point?
At this point, who gives a
Josh
shit?
Gordon hasn't been news in about a decade.
But developing story though, not many details. Broncos linebacker Von Miller is the subject of a police investigation right now. They won't say what for, but
Because there's nothing to charge him on. At this point, you want to know how you become the subject of a police investigation? I walk down to the police office and say, "Hey, Grant assaulted me." Boom, Grant is the subject of a police investigation.
it's enough to make ESPN. So who knows what it's for and what could come of it. So it's a developing story.
Well,
There is
another
very
reason I
minimal
saw it-
news in the sports world right now. Anything is enough to make ESPN. But they always talk about whenever you have a major star and it ever leaks to the press that something's going on with the police, that's brought up. And I
Well,
think
it could
that's
just
bad.
involve other people, or they're looking for other people too. That's
Yeah.
an explanation I've seen. Like I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill, whatever the fuck that saying is, but
I'm out
it
another
could be.
molehill,
I don't know. We just need more details.
The
Yeah.
only other
Right now, we
big,
know nothing outside of that they're looking at him for something.
right. Alrighty. So as you can see, it's a new day. We are actually trying to squeeze this in here. Tyler had to leave last night, so we missed out on all the coaching talk that we had. But Grant and TJ aren't here, so we are going to talk a little bit of basketball here before we wrap this episode up. Big news that we need to talk about in basketball, just sports world in general. This overtook anything football related too. The Brooklyn Nets made a blockbuster deal to land James Harden. Do you have the deets pulled up, or do you want me to read them? Because
I got
have
them.
the deets. Okay.
I'll say I got them. So with this trade, the Nets received James Harden. It was a 4-team trade. That's all they got. Woo, James Harden. They got great strip clubs in Brooklyn. Have fun. In that trade, though, the Cavs, they got Jared Allen and Prince.
Torian Prince.
Torian Prince. The Pacers got Caris LeVert and a second-round pick. And then the winners out of this trade, I think, are the Rockets, getting Victor Oladipo, Exum, Kyrgios, 4 first-round picks, and 4 pick swaps. They're the winner for the future. It's going to be like the Celtics when they got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and all of that.
Right now, if you're talking right now, I don't think the Rockets won this trade. I don't think the Nets won this trade. I think the Pacers won this trade right now,
Getting Levert in the second round
getting
pick,
LeVert and the second round pick.
but
We'll
they did
see.
lose Oladipo.
Yeah, the fact that he went to Houston, though, that's why I don't think that they won. Because look at the other pieces involved in this trade: a Jared Allen, a Torian Prince, or a Karis LeVert. Big guys.
I think the Cavs had a pretty good spot there
Yeah,
too.
they did. The fact
I
that
love
Jared
Allen.
Allen was part of this deal, and the Rockets didn't get him, they need a big man. I'm
They
sorry,
do. You're right.
Christian Wood is their starting big man. That Jared Allen would have
Christian
been
Wood
a
has been
huge upgrade. He's
Christian
been
Wood has been
good.
playing out of his mind this year, but you're right. Jared Allen is a better player. And he's just I like him a lot as a big man. Torian Prince, he's also really good there. The Nets have like what, 6 people now? Like it's what the
Yeah,
fuck?
there's barely anybody on that team. And I mean, we'll get to that in a second. But again, the Rockets got a lot of future potential. So, 5 years from now, they may have won this deal, depending on what they do with those picks. Um, the fact that,
I don't think they dropped out of the playoffs.
no, probably
I
not.
think they dropped down to a 7 or 8 seed probably.
Yeah.
But I think Oladipo, John Wall, they're gonna work very well together, I think.
Yeah. I know they still want to push the small ball stuff. I mean, it works to an extent, but it's not going to bring you a championship. You
No.
got to have an inside presence at some point.
The small ball is fun to watch for the fans at home that just want to see high scoring games, but it doesn't work in the championship. They say defense wins championship for a reason.
Yeah.
That's why Harden will never win a championship unless he's on a team with defense.
Mhm. I mean, I know what they're trying to emulate, and that's what the Warriors did with Steph and Klay Thompson.
The
And
Warriors still had Draymond Green though, who was a
exactly,
perennial
still had
all
Green.
defensive player.
Maurice Spites held it down in the
McGee.
middle too. JaVale McGee was there. Yeah, Kevon Looney even. You
I
got
mean,
to have an inside presence at some point. And I'm sorry, Christian Wood, he can't be the only guy. You got to have somebody else around him. So,
right. And that's very true. I mean, Christian Wood, the reason he's going off is because they don't have much down there.
right. So, but let's get to the bigger part of this deal, the Nets. What does this do to the Nets? I mean, obviously they have two of the best scorers. If you want to throw Kyrie in there too, three of the best scorers in the league. But the big question is, will they all work together?
Right. It will Kyrie be able to play? When does he play? Because Kyrie does what he wants, apparently, plays when he wants to play. What does he think he is? Randy Moss? Get the fuck out of here.
The dude is a head case, man. Like,
Flat earther. Well,
he,
no, he renounced that. So he's not a flat earther anymore.
the fact that he said he was is enough. You can renounce it all you want. The fact that you said you believed in it for a little bit makes you.
So I'm looking at their starting lineup and
Outside
their
Durant,
starting lineup, they have great names on there, minus their.
Jordan's on there too. DeAndre Jordan, right?
Yep, they have DeAndre Jordan, they have Kyrie, they have James Harden, they have Kevin Durant, and then they have Jeff Green.
Yeah.
They're a
That
little.
that goes to show you what else they have on that team. If Jeff Green
There's
cracks that starting
exactly.
lineup,
But no, for point, you also have Bruce Brown and Chris Chioza. For your two, you got Joe Harris, Landry Shamet, and Tyler Johnson. So I mean, their twos are still decent.
Joe Harris is gonna do great coming off the bench because he was a starter before Harden come. I feel bad for him because this was his time to shine in the starting role, playing
Exactly.
alongside KD, and now it's almost a slap in his face. Like, yeah, we know you're okay, but this guy's way better, so you can sit on the bench for longer times now. I feel really bad for him.
They have some shooters in there for their two spot, but going past that, I mean, like I said, Jeff Green's your starting three. Their backup is Timothy Luwawu Cabarro. I don't know.
Is Spencer Dinwiddie still there? I know he's hurt right now.
He's out because
He's
for the
out.
year. He's still on the team, but he's out for the year.
Okay.
So they have Reggie Perry and Nicholas Claxton also. And if you can tell me who they are,
Exactly.
I'll give you $1.
These are probably G League level talents that because they've traded away everybody now, they're gonna get some decent playing time off the bench on this team.
I mean, if they need a 3, I mean, there's a solid ball brother. I mean, solid. I mean, the worst ball brothers in the G League right now. He'll play a 3 for you.
I mean, what would honestly, if you wanted to make this work, it would to be not to have Durant and Harden on the floor as together as little as possible.
Oh yeah, no, they have to go back to the OKC days where Harden was the 6th man of the year,
Right.
and Harden will never do that.
No, that's the thing. Kyrie, they're gonna want to roll with all three of them on the court at a time. That's gonna pose problems. If you let, if you put Durant in there for the first quarter, then bring Harden in the second quarter, and just let it play out situationally like that, you're gonna keep them rested, and you're gonna have offense on the court at all times. That's the way to make this work.
That's
not
why
how
the
those guys
Lakers
wanna
work
play.
so well. Yeah, AD and LeBron, they play together, but they'll rotate them. They won't always be on the court at the same time. So you
Mhm.
always have a superstar on the court with you.
Mhm.
And that's what you need. If you want to be able to go to the championship, you need that.
Yeah. I'm eager to see how they plan to make this work, because this is going to make or break Steve Nash too.
Yep.
People don't remember he's the new coach there, one of the great players of all time, trying to break into the coaching world. We'll see how he can handle this. Do they respect him enough? Which I think you should respect him enough.
Yeah, he's not a Jason Kidd.
No.
I thought Jason Kidd would have got more respect than he did, but Jason Kidd wasn't a good coach.
No.
Steve Nash is a genius with that orange ball.
Yeah.
And
Jason Kidd's kind of an asshole too.
yeah, he's like a woman beater or something, allegedly. I'll say that in here just for legal purposes. But no, he's a terrible coach. But I think Steve Nash will do a lot better. I just don't know how they're going to get along having 2 scoring title holders and 2 giant head cases on the court. And we're not even talking about DeAndre Jordan, because DeAndre Jordan's he's a quiet head case.
He's kind of since
he's gotten better.
Since he's left the Clippers, I think he's more accepted the role that, like, I'm here to do a certain job, I'll do it and keep my mouth shut. So I'm not so much worried about him.
But you get all of those people in the same room, he might change.
True. Very true. So we'll see. We'll definitely get a chance to talk about this more next week. Let's just kind of recap what's going on here in the league. The Lakers are best in the league right now. They're proving it. I did get to watch a little bit of their game last night against the Pelicans. Pelicans were up 57-56 at halftime. And then in the third quarter, the Lakers went on a 21-3 run and won that game considerably. So
you're going to see that the Lakers, you saw it on paper. They got better on paper.
Yeah.
And it's showing that it is. When you can have role players come off your bench and just score 20 like they did with Schroeder that one day, like it's not fair.
The fact that LeBron right now is only averaging around 31 minutes a game, and they're 11-3 right now. They're dominating. Yeah. And LeBron is on the court considerably less. His minutes per game have gone down since 2017 I saw last night. So they're getting players around them.
He's able to rest, which is scary.
Mm-hmm.
I hate rested LeBron because he's so goddamn good.
Yeah. Like if he can continue on this trend, he's gonna play probably for another 7-8 years.
Yeah.
He has the physical ability for that. Phoenix, they were at the top in the West. They dropped down to the 4 seed. They're 7-4. The Clippers are also at LA is killing it right now in the West.
They really are.
Where'd you go?
I don't know. There I am.
Okay. But the West is still proving to be the strength. All the way down to the 10 seed is 500 teams. Meanwhile, in the East, the Bucks are starting to play a little bit better. They're getting up to the 2 seed right now. They have a 9-4 record. Boston holding on to the 1 seed at 8-3. They're also going through some COVID issues right now.
I'll say, when's Boston going to play again?
Yeah, I don't know.
You got the Sixers coming in. They're tied.
I'm surprised they're working as well too. I thought they would have been the ones to land James Harden.
They have Embiid as one of the MVP picks this year with how good he's playing.
He has been playing great. The Bulls, if I have to see the Bulls lose another game by fucking 2 points, I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind. They're 4-8 right now, but I want to say the majority of them losses have either been by anywhere from 1 to 3 points. And they're there. That tells me that they're there. They're playing well. They just need to finish games. But
Now, I want to know which is more surprising in the Eastern Conference: the Wizards getting Westbrook and being 3-8, or the Raptors being 3-8.
the Raptors one doesn't surprise me. The Wizards one surprises me because you have Westbrook and Beal. Beal's been playing out of his fucking mind too.
Yeah, and they've been
Can't
losing.
they can't get wins though. The bigger surprise right now for me is the Miami Heat at 4-6. They're the 10 seed right now.
Good, fuck them.
I know your feelings against them, but this is a team that was in the finals last year and did not
They should not be
lose.
4-6.
No, they should be at the top of this conference, and they are struggling big time. I don't know why. What something's going on down there, but
It's not the bubble. They get to go home.
could be. It very well could be.
You have home life distractions with this, but I'm going to bring this up right now. We need to go back to the bubble.
They do. Yep, that is the other big thing.
COVID. This is what 4 days in a row they've canceled games or postponed games.
Mhm.
It's
Not to mention Carl Anthony Towns tested positive, and if you know, we've talked about it before. He had been touched by COVID immensely, lost 7 of his family members, and now he has it.
He hasn't been touched. His family was hit by a freight train.
Yeah,
Like, it's not cool, and now he's got it. Like, he had to, in his Instagram post about it, he had to call out to his nephews and tell them that he's not going to be in the box next to his grandma.
Yeah.
Like, that's verbatim from his Instagram post, and that's the saddest thing.
it's
So
fucked up. I know they don't want to go to the bubble, and I know a lot of players' thoughts are if it's this serious, why are we playing? I mean, you don't have to go to the bubble. I don't understand why the hub city thing does not catch on. I think what the NHL did agree on is going to work great for them. I think the NBA, obviously, they've started, they can't adopt that, but they could adopt the hub cities. That is a big thing that they could do, which basically, I know I talked about it before, it's mini bubbles for about 1 to 2 weeks at a time. You know, you bring in 7 teams, 8 teams, whatever, to a city, have them stay in a bubble there for about a week, play games, go home for a week. Then they go to a different hub city. And, you know, that's how you do it.
the only problem with that is when they go home for that week, they're going to have to quarantine at home, or else there's the risk of them bringing COVID into the next hub city.
Right.
So,
But
I
I
mean,
there's ways they can do it better than they are right now.
they need better tracking of who's
Yeah.
going where, what's going on.
They need to get in touch with the NFL and Major League Baseball to see how they did it. Because if you remember, MLB had issues right when their season started too, but they got it figured out.
The NFL had one issue, one big issue, and that was the Steelers-Ravens game. Or
The Titans.
Was it Ravens-Titans?
I thought it was the Titans because they had like 23 people test positive.
No, I'm talking about the one game that they postponed 3 different times.
Right. That
outside
was the
of
Steelers
that,
Ravens, yeah.
Outside of that, they played all their games.
Mm-hmm.
They need
the NFL, like I said, NFL MLB has proven like you can get it right. You might have a little hiccups here and there, but you can get it right. So I think the NBA needs to, you know, learn from them and figure this shit out.
Yeah.
Because it's nice being able to watch basketball. When football's over, I'm gonna want to watch something. So if they can get it right, I want to watch basketball this year.
It's the same here.
Because I'm excited. I want to watch some Bulls games. They are looking really good. I
mean, their standings don't say it, but
right. But Kobe White's playing great. He seems to be their point guard of the future. Zach LaVine, I know I said I thought we might trade him, but he's proven to be
glad you didn't.
Yeah, he's a scorer. And my biggest surprise is Patrick Williams, the rookie. I know I wasn't going to rag on it because I didn't know much about him. And he was coming off the bench at Florida State, but dude is top 5 right now in NBA rookie rankings, and he's not far off from what LaMelo Ball is doing in Charlotte. So
Speaking of which, can we bring up the fact that I was right on that one so far?
so far,
I have called LaMelo Ball. He's got a lot of talent. He's got all the talent his brother does, and he's got the size of his other brother. Like,
Mhm.
I'm impressed with him. I really
Yeah,
am, and I'm happy.
I'll say that too. I am too.
I'm more impressed with his rebounding ability. Dude's dropping double-digit rebounds as a
Yeah.
2.
I did see his stat line. I think he's averaging about 17 points a game, 10 rebounds, and about 6 assists. I would
Yeah.
like to see his assists come up more since he's going to be one of their primary ball handlers. So I think his assists should come up and maybe drop the rebounds down. But the fact that he's just getting stats across the board is really, really good.
I mean, his first game he didn't score, and everyone's like, "Oh, blah blah blah," and the next game he drops like 30. Like,
Yep. And he's in a good position there too. It's a team that doesn't have a superstar, so he's not like he has to play behind anybody. But there's a lot of good veterans around there that he can learn from. The
he's
fact
got a
that
pretty good veteran as the owner too.
yeah, and like to mention Jordan's there, but I mean the fact that he gets to play alongside veteran like Gordon Hayward, I think that really helps him out too.
And he's got the point. He's got Terry Rozier there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Terry Rozier, he's not a bad point guard, really.
Yeah,
So he's someone you can learn from.
Charlotte's currently sitting in the 8th spot in the East. They are 6-7 right now, but as we've seen it's quite the trend in the East. The last few seeds are probably going to have losing records. The East is not one to brag about. But yeah, right now they are a playoff team. So yeah. Any other basketball news you want to touch on, man?
No, not really. I think that's pretty much covers everything. Just hoping that the season keeps rolling, and YouTube TV, you need to get Fox Sports back because I want to watch my Bucks games.
Yeah. I can watch them. I wish I could watch the Bulls game instead of the Bucks games. That's probably going to be the only time I'll watch the Bulls this year is when they play the Bucks, and I'll get it on Fox Sports. So, also just one other tidbit here, since while we're here, NHL season did start. The Blackhawks are garbage.
Yep.
Granted, they do have to start. They did start the season with 2 games against the defending champs, so didn't expect much. Yeah. So we'll be touching on that more as the season goes along. It's definitely been revamped this year in the NHL. I know I was talking with Grant about it yesterday. It's 4 divisions. They realigned the divisions too, so travel isn't like teams are going cross country. They're only playing teams in those divisions this year. If you remember old sports leagues before there was interleague play, this is what it's kind of like now. So, which for my eyes, it's great because the Blackhawks got realigned with the Red Wings. We're going to get to see a lot more of that rivalry.
Good.
Both our teams suck, so it's an even playing field. I know we got a Red Wing fan that watches this, so
yes, we do.
look forward to those games. But yeah, we will have some more hockey news as the season goes along. But as for now, I think we're going to hang it up so you guys can get to watching some big football later today. TJ and Grant are not here, so we'll say goodbye for them. They'll be here next week.
We'll see you next week when the Packers get to face some old quarterback.
It's just I'm worried about that because I think the team that has the best shot to beat them is the Buccaneers, but I don't want to see Tom Brady in the fucking Super Bowl again. But I also don't want to see Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl again. So
yeah,
it's gonna be tough. But yeah, just hit us up on our social media pages too if you're enjoying this. Facebook. Like I said earlier in the show, we have an email, fatguysportstalk@gmail.com. And drop a like, subscribe, share.
Give us ratings.
Yeah, give us some ratings, man. We're everywhere.
A good review, preferably.
Anything.
If it's a bad one, make it on Aaron.
Why me? Why me? I do
because
so
no one
much
else
for
is
the
here.
show. I know, it's true. But all right, that'll be the end of this today, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm Aaron.
I'm Tyler.
We'll see you next week.
Later.
Later.